Continuing the Maimer Mimona Afar Yaakov that was said by the Rebbe on Shabbos Parshas Chukas Balak Yud Beis Tammuz Tafshin Yud Beis. In the Maimer up until now we're learning about the different levels of bitachon and the fact that the pasuk says bitchu ba'avaye adei ad, which means a bitachon, a trust which goes to no end. Adei ad, till, which means that it keeps on going. What's the idea of bitachon, trusting in Hashem? What brings a person to trust in Hashem? Because a person knows that Hashem will certainly help me and take me out of my situation, whatever negative situation, whatever desperate situation I may be in, materially or spiritually, I know that Hashem will take me out of it. To the extent that I have bitachon, I'm certain, batuach, I'm sure that there's no question that Hashem will take me out of it. What causes that bitachon? What feeling do I have? What realization do I have that makes me be certain that Hashem will take me out of my situation? So we learned last time that there's two options. One option is a bitachon that's inspired by the love that Hashem loves us. Hashem loves us. Hashem loves every Jew. And because I know He loves me, I know He's going to take me out of my desperate situation. However, that level or that reason for bitachon is limited. Because love is a midah. It's an emotional attribute. Emotional attributes come in two ways. There's chesed, there's love. There's also the opposite side. There's gevura. And therefore, even though I know that there is the chesed of Hashem, there's the kindness of Hashem, there's the love of Hashem, but the very fact that this is an emotional attribute means there's also the opposite possibility. More specifically, Hashem's love to me is inspired by a reason. It's inspired by the mirror image of my love to Hashem. When I don't have that proper love for Hashem, then it's a possibility that there won't be the love, or at least it won't be revealed Hashem's love to me. And not only that, it could even be the opposite. It could be that I deserve the opposite. There's a second level of bitachon that comes from moichin, from an intellectual level. And the difference between the moichin and the midas, we explained yesterday, can be understood by the difference in a person. The relationship between one person and the other, when it's a relationship that comes from midas, love that's inspired by emotional reasons. An emotion is limited. When there's a time of love, then that love will be there. But if there happens the opposite, so then not only does the love go away, but it could be replaced by the opposite of love. Whereas moichin, intellectual, when a person understands intellectually, then he realizes, Al tadin es chavercha ad shetagil im kaimai, don't judge someone else until you come to their place, until you're in their shoes. And for this reason, even if there's a reason not to love the other person, a person can be dan lekav schus, he'll judge the other favorably. That's an intellectual understanding. However, even an intellectual feeling of love, an intellectually inspired love, is also limited. In the example of a person, there's times that I can't find any favorable judgment, even intellectually. I can't find any excuse or any reason to judge the person favorably. And the same thing is when we talk about the love, the bitachon, the faith or trust which is stronger because it comes from the moichin, from the intellect of above, but that's also limited. That also is not something which is unlimited. What is the fully unlimited bitachon? The fully unlimited bitachon comes from the level of beyond moichin, beyond intellect. Which means the completely unlimited bitachon is from the essential essence, that this is the way it is, and therefore the essence remains that no matter what. And the example by people is when two people make a krisas bris, they make a covenant with one another. A covenant means that it's something that it's not dependent on emotional feelings. It's not even dependent on intellectual feelings. In fact, a covenant, a krisas bris, is something which says that even if we'll be in a situation where intellectually there's no reason for love, there's a reason for the opposite of love, the love will still be strong because that's the way it is. And in the same way, the connection between a Jew and Hashem, the bitachon, the strong bitachon which is limitless, which I know that it can't change, I know that I trust and I'm 100% certain in Hashem's help, is when it's not because I'm relying on the emotional, on the midos, because in midos there could be an opposite. I'm not even relying on the moichin. I'm relying on the etzem, on the essence of Hashem, that Hashem will for sure help me because of the deep connection, the essential connection between Hashem and every Jew. Not for any reason, not limited by a reason, not an emotional one, not even an intellectual one. And that's complete bitachon. And that's what the Rebbe explains as the meaning of the pasuk. Bitchu ba'avaye adei ad. Which means there's 3 levels in this bitachon, in the pasuk of bitachon. There's one level of bitachon which is in Zah, Zer Ampin, which that's midas, that's the emotional attributes of godliness. From Chesed through Yesod, that's the drawing down, the trust that a person has as a result of the fact that Hashem gives good, that Hashem does good. That's limited. That's not adei ad. There's a bitachon that comes on a higher level, which is moichin, which is what's called Abba and Ima, the father and mother, which means the levels of moichin, of intellect from above. And that's a stronger level of bitachon, but it's also not one which is unlimited. There's this 3rd level, which is adei ad. And adei ad means the 2 levels of ad, which is keser, the essence of Hashem, which is above intellect and above emotions, whether it's the level of ratzin, of will, which doesn't come as an intellectual reason or an emotional reason, and certainly even higher level, the pleasure that Hashem has in every Jew, which mirrors itself in the essential connection that every Jew has with Hashem. That bitachon is complete. That bitachon is a certainty that there's no question whatsoever that for sure the hashpah will come, just like the krisas bris, when 2 people have a covenant, that there's no way that it can break, there's no way it can change. It's something which ties them with an eternal tie and is not dependent on anything else. That bitachon is what we say, the love that Hashem has for a Jew, which is what we say, Ahavti eschem amar Hashem. Hashem says to the Jewish people, I love you. Not for any reasons, not for any thing that we do or don't do, but it's an essential love which is mirrored by the essential love and connection between a Jew and Hashem. That's something which is certain and it can't break. Now the Rebbe continues to say, how do we see that in the avodah of a person? That means that obviously in the avodah of a person, there's also that mirrored idea of the essential connection that a Jew has with Hashem, that goes beyond all limitations, beyond all limits. It's not limited in any type of understanding or feeling. It's something which is there because it's there. It runs deeper than any type of understanding and feeling. It's the essence of what it's all about. And so the Rebbe says, we started in the beginning in the Maimer with the idea of Min HaMeitzar Karasika, that the Meitzar, the tightness, the constraints, is what brings a person to call out to Hashem. What is these constraints? That's the idea of the Avodah of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of going out of Mitzrayim. In every person's avodah is going out of their own personal constraints, with that's Mitzrayim, the limitations and constraints that a person has. And we say that B'chol Dor V'Dor, Chayav Adam Liris Es Atzmai Kilu Hu Yatsa Mitzrayim. In every generation, a person has the obligation to see himself as if he himself left Egypt. And the Alter Rebbe explains that this idea of leaving Egypt means that it's not just every generation, but every moment. Every day a person has to constantly feel this exodus of his godly soul from the constraints of the animal soul, from the constraints of the physical material world, leaving the constraints to connect and cleave and become one with Hashem. That's Yetzias Mitzrayim, leaving our limitations, leaving our constraints, leaving our Meitzar. Now, in Yetzias Mitzrayim, so that means that if we're going to understand how we leave our Meitzar, it's going to be similar to the idea of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of the simple leaving of Egypt that every Jew, when we left Mitzrayim. What happened when we left Mitzrayim? It says, Koil doidi, hine zeba, midaleg aleharim, mikapitz alagvois. When Hashem came to take us out of Mitzrayim, it says He came in a way of midaleg, of jumping, and mikapitz in a way of skipping. And so the Rebbe is going to explain what is the idea of jumping and skipping. So firstly, in a person's avodah, you have three ways in the avodah of a person. There's one avodah called Amida, standing in one place. There's another concept called Halicha, going from one place to the other. And then there's Kfitza or Dilug. Looking at them both together, Kfitza and Dilug is the idea of jumping, going way beyond. Now, in the simple understanding, Amida means we're standing in one place. We don't move. Halicha means to go in a normal way. And Dilug means to jump in a way that's beyond limitations. But the Rebbe says that's not true. And Yetzias Mitzrayim is in a way of Dilug, jumping beyond limitations. The Rebbe says that's not true. Amida doesn't mean standing in one place. It's impossible that Amida should mean standing in one place. Because there's no such a thing, there's no avodah of standing in one place. Amida is also a way of avodah. There's no such a thing as standing in one place. When we say v'nosati l'cham mahalchim beina oimdim ha'ela, that neshamis and malachim, neshamis before they come down to this world, and the angels, they are oimdim, they stand in one place. It doesn't mean they stand in one place fully, that they don't leave their place. It means that they're oimdim, that compared to true halicha, true movement, they don't have true movement because they're going from one place to another is in a limited fashion. Whereas halicha is going beyond limitation. And to understand this, the Rebbe says you look in seichel, in intellectual pursuits, there's two ways of understanding things intellectually. One way is when I understand one idea, and I understand another idea, and the earlier idea that I understood helps me understand the new idea even better, which means I'm going from one concept to the other, from one level of understanding to the next, but it's in a limited fashion where they relate to one another. Then there's the story of Reb Zera that left from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and he had to fast 40 fasts. or more than that, in order that he should forget Talmud Bavli, so it shouldn't confuse him for learning Talmud Yerushalmi. The Talmud Yerushalmi was on a level which is so unrelated, so unlimited, beyond what he learned in Talmud Bavli, that what he learned earlier would confuse him. That's the idea of halicha. Even though in understanding one grows constantly, even in the first level. But that would be called Amida because it's going from one level to the next in a way which are connected to one another, in a way which relate to one another. Whereas true halicha, true going, means going fully from one level to a totally new level in which we have to leave halicha, go away from the one level in order to get to the next. So Hashem, tomorrow we'll continue with this avodah to understand also the meaning of diluk.